Okay, picture this. There's a guy, let's call him John. He's 58. He's got the whole setup, a 30-year marriage, a nice house in the suburbs that's finally paid off, and 2 kids who are grown and have lives of their own. From the outside, he's the definition of success. He has everything we're told we're supposed to want. Then, one random Tuesday morning, John gets up. He doesn't go to his home office, he just retired. He showers, gets dressed, grabs a small duffel bag from the top of the closet, and walks out the front door. He doesn't leave a note. There was no big, screaming match the night before. There's no mistress waiting in a red sports car. He just leaves, and he never looks back. His family is shattered. His friends are confused. Everyone asks the same single question. Why? Here's the chilling part. John's story isn't rare. It's a silent epidemic. Researchers have a name for it: gray divorce. While divorce rates for younger people are actually dropping, for people over 50, the rate has doubled since the 1990s. Now, our first instinct is to think, oh, it's a midlife crisis. How cliché. He left her for someone younger. But here's the twist, and this is what makes this so unsettling. In most of these cases, the man doesn't leave for another woman. He leaves to be alone. He actively chooses the silence of an empty apartment over the life he spent 30 years building. What is going on inside these long-term marriages that makes a man finally decide that being completely alone is the better option? Before we dive into the 4 hidden reasons, do me a quick favor. If this topic hits close to home, or if you're just fascinated by what really makes people tick, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're going to unpack the quiet truths that no one else is talking about. You ready? Let's get into it. Reason 1. The man in the mirror is a stranger. The first reason he leaves: he looks in the mirror and has absolutely no idea who is looking back at him. See, for 35 years, his entire identity was built on 2 labels: provider and dad. His job wasn't just what he did, it was who he was. His self-worth, his purpose, his entire value as a man was tied to his ability to provide, to fix things, to be the rock. At home, he was dad, the center of the chaos, the college funder, the problem solver. Then, in the span of just a couple of years, both of those pillars completely collapse. His youngest kid graduates college and moves across the country. The empty nest isn't just quiet, it's a void. His full-time job as dad gets downgraded to a weekly phone call. Right around the same time, he retires. The role of provider is over, so he wakes up on that Tuesday morning, and there are no urgent emails, no team to lead, no problems to solve. His wife? Maybe she's spent years building her own life. She has her friend group, her volunteer work, her book club. Him? He walks around the house that suddenly feels way too big and realizes he has no hobbies. His friends were work friends. He feels useless. Psychologists call this identity dissolution. The marriage, the house, the life they built, it all feels like a museum dedicated to a person he isn't anymore. His decision to leave isn't about running from his wife. It's about running from that empty suit of the man he used to be. It's a desperate, frantic search to answer one question before it's too late. If I'm not a provider and I'm not a full-time dad, who am I? Reason 2. He's in love with the idea of quiet. The second reason, he's just tired. Not long day at work, tired. He is emotionally exhausted. A 30-year marriage rarely dies from one big, explosive fight. It dies from 1,000 tiny cuts that never healed. The argument about money they had 10 years ago that never really got resolved. The constant disagreement over how to deal with the in-laws. The tiny, daily annoyances, the way she corrects him in front of friends, the way he never loads the dishwasher right, they stop being quirks and start feeling like tiny acts of disrespect. For decades, maybe she was the one wanting to talk, to connect, to work on the relationship. And for decades he learned that talking just leads to conflict, and conflict leads to stress. So he does the one thing that guarantees him a little bit of peace. He shuts down. He avoids. He retreats into silence. After 30 years of this, his emotional muscles for deep, vulnerable conversation have just atrophied. They're gone. They've entered the roommate phase. They're just two people managing a property. They live in the same house, but they exist in two separate, silent worlds. Him watching TV, her scrolling on her phone. The home isn't a sanctuary. It's just a shared space. The energy it would take to try and reignite a spark that went cold 20 years ago, it feels overwhelming, impossible. And compared to that, the idea of a small, quiet apartment, all by himself, starts to look incredibly attractive. He's not afraid of being lonely. He's afraid of the sheer exhaustion of trying anymore. As one man in a forum brutally honestly put it, "I didn't leave because I hated her. I left because I was in love with the idea of silence." Reason 3. The contract is finished. This third reason sounds cold, but it's brutally practical. The contract is complete. Look, a lot of marriages from that generation were built on an unspoken, functional deal, a social contract. The contract read, "I, the husband, will be the primary breadwinner. I will ensure financial security. You, the wife, will manage the home and raise the children." This isn't a judgment. It was a functional arrangement for its time. A man's success as a husband was measured by how well he provided. But what happens when that contract is fulfilled? The mortgage is paid off. The last college tuition check is cleared. The retirement accounts are full. The mission is accomplished. The project is done. He looks around and thinks, "Okay, my job here is done. Now what?" If, in between all those years of functioning, they forgot to build a deep friendship, if they forgot to actually like each other as people, there's nothing left to hold the marriage together. The partnership was, in essence, a long-term business venture, and that venture has just wrapped. For him, staying feels like showing up to an office after the company has already been sold. When he walks out that door, he doesn't feel like he's abandoning a wife. He feels like he's clocking out of a job that he finished successfully. Reason 4. The loneliest place on earth. And the fourth reason. This one's the most tragic. He leaves because he finally comes to one soul-crushing conclusion. The loneliest place on earth isn't being alone. It's being with someone and feeling completely invisible. You have to understand the difference between solitude and loneliness. Solitude is just being by yourself. It can be peaceful. It's a choice. Loneliness is the pain of feeling disconnected, unseen, and unheard. And the hard truth is, some of the loneliest people in the world are in long-term marriages. For years, maybe he's felt like he's walking on eggshells. He tries to share a story about work and he gets a distracted "uh-huh" while she's looking at her phone. He tries to express a fear about getting older, and the subject is immediately changed to the leaky faucet. He stops feeling like a partner and starts feeling like a constant disappointment. So, to avoid the friction, he just stops. He stops sharing. He stops trying. He retreats into his own silent world because it's safer than the battlefield of a simple conversation. The breaking point is rarely a big fight. It's a small, chilling moment of clarity. It's the moment he realizes he felt happier and more seen making 2 minutes of small talk with the cashier at the hardware store than he has in 10 years at his own dinner table. He would rather be physically alone than ever feel that kind of emotional loneliness again. So, when he walks out that door and never looks back, where is he really going? We're all conditioned to think he's running to a new woman, a new model, a fresh start. But the real, profound truth is this. He didn't leave to find another woman. He left to find another man. He left to find the man he used to be before his identity was completely buried under the labels of provider and dad. Or, even more powerfully, he left to finally meet the man he never got the chance to become. He looks at the calendar. He feels the new aches in his joints. And he has one terrifying thought. Time is running out. The years he has left are precious, and he is no longer willing to spend them living a life that feels like a performance. He's not looking for wild adventure. He's looking for authenticity. He's looking for a life where his home is a true sanctuary, not a stage where he plays a role he doesn't even understand anymore. He's walking away, not to run from his marriage, but to finally, for the first time, come home to himself.